I arrive way before the rapture and the sunrise. Gotta go through life to get this wise. I done died twice. RP 5, I'm on my tribe shit. Parting is the art of getting lit. Spitting shit to get the flame sent. Sentiments are simple, I remain him. Owns myself, getting paid quicker now. Like an hour, I can see that crooked smile. Turn the phones as the crowd's place. Never to my face, guess they play it safe. In a place where it's hard to understand if you ain't got a plan or purpose. I emerged through the curses, it was urgent. On every demon word to murder, it's submerging. I'm purging with the verse. My time here on earth is full of work. From the dirt, I plant a seed to cure world hunger and quench thirst. Fuck, but I did it. Deserve my flowers. Kill a coward off the brainstorm. My intellect add value, spiritual avalon. And out of space I'm soaring, I'm soaring with the scripted. So connected with my blessings, it was necessary to marry the mission. My mission still a hit, my wisdom is too legit. What I've been through, put food for thought on the menu. Last year I had my soul group, let at the venue. This year we going harder, watch me father. Became a father on some real shit. I'm buckling down, getting my home right. My own life shines so bright. It's like the hand of light God handed me the mic soon after. Till my vices became the master. Now I hop out the bed 10 times faster. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B. And you're watching Dave B on TV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And I know I'm going live hella early, so you know what I'm saying, this is for everybody to wake up. And even if you're not up yet, you know what I'm saying, when you get up, here's a daily dose of the energy so you can know what's going on. You don't have to get caught up. You know what I'm saying? You can catch the wave early on. So when you go into wherever you got to go in the morning or just the morning routine, it's a little something to get you on track. So for the most part, you know, we talk about astrology today. We're talking about moon in Gemini, sun in Leo. So, you know, already there's a lot of intense energies going on, right? And a lot of them are going, is dealing with, see, with the mutable energies going crazy right now. You know what I'm saying? Because you got Gemini with Jupiter in it. The moon is now here. So the moon is adding an emphasis on emotional expansion. We want to expand in a certain way emotionally, and we're trying to think our ways to get there, which a lot of times can kind of against our favor, especially with energies like Mercury in Virgo, which is squaring this. So this is a form of learning, you know what I'm saying, having to learn what it is that we're getting hit with. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to learn about the ways our emotions are taking us as far as thought forms and different areas we trying to go to get more expansive on how we feel. You know what I'm saying? You said, I heard Mercury was in Gatorade. Not yet. It's about to be. And so a lot of what that is what we're talking about right here. You know, right now, the way we're thinking and the way we're feeling, these things are at odds. You know what I'm saying? So right now we're trying to learn how to decipher the things we're getting hit with as far as different emotional ways. And we're trying to understand those things. But the way we're going about understanding them, it's like we're trying to, you know, see for what it is, trying to think all the way through. You know what I'm saying? And being that, like I said, even with the moon in Gemini, the moon kind of creates a situation where you're either too scattered to really pin down what you feel, or you keep producing over. Like, it's almost like you're either thinking about how you feel and these things could be in alignment, you know what I'm saying, or you're thinking about too many different things. Your mind is too scattered based upon not feeling comfortable, based upon you not truly having enough, you know, faith, belief, and imagination in what you got as far as reality going on. Because again, like I said, the mutable signs are going crazy. So even though, so you got Mercury, you got the moon squaring off, moon in Gemini with Jupiter. These two things, you expanding on these things, and it's becoming frustrating on the end of Pisces with Saturn there. You know what I'm saying? Pisces, Saturn's already been there. Saturn is since out of the dream. Saturn is trying to make us see things as far as it goes, as far like what we're trying to build in our mind. You know what I'm saying? We got an idea of what we want life to look like, and Saturn is retrograde. The theme of that is Saturn wanting to either choose between escaping, or how do I, instead of escaping to the reality I want, how do I bring that to myself? How do I make the situation I'm living in something that I don't have to feel like I got to escape from? So in that process, that's already been a frustrating aspect, right? Mercury got into Virgo, right? So we started, right now we're at odds. Like, we were thinking about all the ways in which reality hasn't lined up, and maybe what we need to fix and adjust to get there, right?
The moon being in Gemini though, it's bringing another layer to that frustration, because now you have a three-way square between these mutable energies. So the moon in Gemini is having a bunch of scattered thoughts about, again, what's not real in our reality, and whether or not what we've been working towards as a dream is anything substantial and sustainable. And then on the other end, it's getting picked apart by Virgo. So Virgo is hitting that shit and is like, okay, Virgo's making you super critical about it, super critical about these thoughts. You know what I'm saying? This is heavy mercurial energy. So it's like now the moon, how we feel, is now in a complete space devoid of actual emotions and really just playing off thoughts. But we still feel things, but what we're feeling is being filtered directly through what we're thinking about. So if your mind is not on, if you can't adjust your mind to move in ways that you can start to create thoughts that kind of keep you encouraged to continue to work and adjust and kind of do that Virgo thing where it's like, okay, yeah, I know I got a lot of work to do, but instead of being overwhelmed, I'm gonna break it down into something that makes sense. So it's like, okay, cool, I can adjust that. If your mind isn't strong enough at the moment to start to transmute a lot of emotional pain and maybe even confusion into something constructive and something that keeps you on your path and purpose to keep doing what it is you set out to do before these energies and transits hit. Because remember, we in the fixed portion of the summertime. So all the way up until this point, we were just kind of speculating. We was throwing things to see what stuff, you know what I'm saying? Springtime is all about the birth of a new energy. We were introducing new sides of ourselves. But now, after Cancer, like I was saying before in those lives, it's about the emotional awareness and your ability to be comfortable during extremely uncomfortable circumstances. This is the continuation of that in Leo season, where now we have to stand on that. We have to embody that light. And if we can't, again, you're going to go through so many different experiences that you're going to kind of be fighting with yourself. Like, is this actually what I'm trying to establish for myself? Because like, I like to say it like this, like when you're on your path, you know, when you're aligned with God at the moment, you know what I'm saying? You can tell when it seemed like everything I do, you kind of feel that extra step. You taking steps, you feel God also taking steps with you, right? See, the thing about it is, a lot of people's misconception is that, oh, that means everything is going right in my life. But those who really be walking a path know that even when things are going all completely opposite, out of your favor, if you are aware enough, you can catch where God is still working through you. It's just you have to be willing to trust that through this uncomfortable feeling, if you continue to take these steps that you know in your heart is right, you'll still be in alignment with that. So like, that's kind of that whole. So right now, when we're dealing with these many thoughts, that's kind of, again, a lot of distractions. That's really what that Gemini energy brings. It's like so many different distractions. I could go with this thought or I could go with that thought. It's like you really need to be mentally strong enough to bring yourself together and decide for yourself, oh, well, regardless of what this actually looks like, this is actually the path I'm trying to take. So I'm gonna keep taking that step. Let me try to make it clear for y'all. You know what I'm saying? He said that man channeling space through that blunt right now. Real shit. But you know, let me backtrack, because again, I already know I'm a Pisces. So during this time, I'm like, I don't even know if I'm making enough sense on the Gemini Virgo tip to convey the message. But at the same time, I trust that at least whatever space I am hitting is something that can still resonate with people who are picking up on the message too. You know, and so let's take it back to the moon being in Gemini. So how we're feeling right now is we're feeling everything we're thinking about. And chances are we're overthinking because Mercury is in Virgo. So we're already overthinking about critical things. But now it's making us feel some kind of way about those thoughts. So this is where distraction happens, because with so many different thoughts about what you're being critical on and what's real, and that in and of itself being opposed to what you thought. Again, Mercury is challenging the hell out of everybody's Saturn. So everything you was thinking is resource and what's actually stable and structured in your life, the challenge of that, you're learning, or you're actually opposed to that with your mind. You like kind of like looking, like trying to, you know, flip rocks over and say, wait, hold on, was this planted correctly? You know, saying to check and see, like, I know I planted a seed here, but let me check, you know, say, so you trying to dig up the ground and see where the seed at. So these type of energies though, again, it makes it hard to trust and have faith at the moment, in whatever you're trying to do. But again, that's what it calls for right now. Mercury needs to kind of bring that magnifying glass and double check and say, hey, what's actually going on here? So there's already that tension. Overthinking about it, probably because it's exalted there, so it's having a lot of fun overthinking about it, and it's getting ready to go retrograde, so it's looking at things from a kind of like a comparison view. What happened in the past versus what's going on right. The thing about it is none of it necessarily feels comfortable. Nothing about it necessarily good. The moon, so especially not with the Virgo energies, because sometimes the Virgo energies really bring more angst and anxiety. You know what I'm saying? So you're kind of nervous a little bit, and it's near Lilith. It's like you're kind of nervous and afraid of things not working out at the moment. So it's kind of it's going to heighten everybody's kind of sensitive things. That a lot of things on everybody's mind. So during Leo season, right, this is where things can get confusing, because Leo is all about attention. So we want attention, but we also want to, we want to express ourselves. Everybody trying to express themselves, seen, but everybody's also in their own world as far as they mind. So it's almost like it's a different kind of Leo season. Usually Leo is that energy where, again, everybody's popping out, and it's that type of energy where it's just expressions going. But what you're probably going to start seeing is a lot of people having to rethink the way they even go about expressing, still expressing themselves, but people are going to be a lot more it's like contemplating type energy, where they're contemplating their character a little bit more, because they understand that the character that they are in, they either got a character. Again, if you've been planting good seeds, right, you're gonna have the tools to kind of look at your character and say, yeah, I like the character I'm expressing, but it's gonna be more like, let me fine tune it so that I can be more accurate in how I present myself, because that's actually who I am. Versus the people who are going to be succumbing to fear and choosing to express themselves in ways that's completely, based, again, it's not really them, but they're doing it almost as a reaction to them having too much on their mind and not knowing which kind of route to go. Now, and again, everybody's in different kind of situations and circumstances. So, even on a smaller scale, you know what I'm saying, this could be even little self checks as far as what kind of boundaries you want to what kind of boundaries you want to place on with other characters interacting with your character and stuff like that. But the moon and Gemini in general, bringing all these different thoughts to our mind. Now the moon is a sextile with Leo, so there's an opportunity there, right? Because again, with that communication, that it's almost like you got to look at Gemini as, we know it's communication. So it's going to be a lot of talking about how we feel, and it can be seen. Or so there's going to be that form of it where people are going to be talking first and then being seen for what's coming out their mouth, right? And again, that can kind of look negative sometimes, because it's like, oh, that person didn't even consider what they were saying. They just said it to say it, said it for attention. That's one aspect of it. But the other aspect, on a more positive end, could look you choosing to it's more like, how Gemini can give direction to the Leo, or the Gemini can help the Leo become less fixated on one way of expressing and get more sides, more dimensions on how to get that expression out. So with more dimensions, this is almost like if you were to think of a movie, right? At one point, move 2D, but then when 3D movies were introduced, there was more that you can do and show with the 3D movie than you could with the 2D movie. You know what I'm saying? When it was just on a flame and so on and so forth. Even like if we thinking about VR, it adds more dimensions to now. There's more things you're aware of within that motion picture. Now that's just an analogy for you as an individual, right? There's many sides to you, but not a lot of times, like, you might have found it difficult to kind of express yourself and be understood in these many different dimensions and ways. This is expansion of character as well, because it got Jupiter there too, and Jupiter is tied in the sun as well, Jupiter and Gemini. So there's an expansion of character and expression. So right here is a time where we all can level up the way in which we convey message. Again, it comes only after you are going through this frustration of communicating, dealing with your own thought, and then also maintaining a healthy sense of what's real versus what's just in your imagination, a delusion. Because even in this square, right, you can even have certain areas where, based upon the way you feel, it can alter the way you think and kind of encourage you to communicate or express yourself in ways, again, that miss the point, that miss the point of what's actually being presented. And even if you miss the point, you got to understand that's redeemable. That's not the end of the world either. When you miss the point, that's the whole purpose of conflict too. Conflict brings both things to the table and on this. And that's a lot of times when you realize you missed the point. And once you realize that, it's just a matter of taking that accountability and adjusting your character better align with what's actually real. But see, some people are in situations where they get to that point until they express themselves. So that's why it's important to still express yourself. You still got to jump out. But what you're going to see is there's going to be a lot of people who's not to, based upon too much fear. And that's not necessarily the right thing to do. Not everybody's situations. You might be in a situation where you've been over expressing yourself and you're just now realizing that so many strands of your character that you put on the table or that you presented actually in alignment with you. So in that case, it is more of a retroactive, okay, wait, hold on. I might need to sit down and be quiet for a month or two, or for a couple weeks or a couple days, however long you feel as though it's necessary. Still be working on yourself and just understand that, damn, I don't really need to be popping out right now, because what I've initiated from back in the spring as who I am and what I want to be fixated in and participate with isn't in alignment. And that's going to help you, because when we hit energies like Virgo season, that's going to be a time where a lot of these things that are at the current moment not making sense are going to start well, I'm not going to say they're going to start making sense, because it's not going to be like that for everybody. But at least in Virgo season, things will start to be calculated and kind of compared and weighed in on, you know what I'm saying? And then we're going to fully be aware of the opposition of what wasn't reality and what is the opposite Saturn. So Sun is going to be kind of seeing, again, where do we fall short with sustainable energy? Where do we fall short with our time investment? Where do we fall short in what we were building from the time we started this energy to the time now? And again, we got energies like, remember, this is like, we're really getting retrograde season, because if you don't know, Uranus, I believe, is in retrograde, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that, but I know for a fact Saturn is in retrograde until November. As I think it is Pluto is also in retrograde. So these outer planets are already, there's already an enormous shift as far as what was once real and sustainable versus what is realistic and feasible now. Everybody is kind of dealing with that tension of like, damn, because we feel, even with government is moving and stuff like that, we feel the rules changing. We see it too. It's not just a feeling. We see the rules changing. We see different things happen. Nothing is quite adding up. Nothing is quite making sense, because you got to think about it too. They're making shit up as they go as well. They might have this shit planned out, but everything is determined on the present. So they still, so we feel that kind of questioning of like, okay, well, what is next in our own personal life? Now, what they're going to try to do is distract you and get you on a wave of wondering what's going to be next for America, or what's next for, these different countries at war and all this other shit, when none of it actually matters for real. Like, and when I say that, I'm not saying that we neglect the people who actually lose their life, or who are experiencing certain things that are, kind of, whatever to themselves, experiencing all kinds of things. But I'm saying, like, you in your own, like, where you at, right? If you not actually going through those things, you got to remember that all of that shit is a distraction. You know what I'm saying? When you really think about it, this is the kind of, how, see, the whole government game too is to get your mind on a bunch of things that get you out of yourself. Shout out to MP333, I think I want to say, on IG, because he was I didn't finish he was making a video talking about exposing Jewish witchcraft and understand, and he had from the concept of the Jewish witchcraft is convincing you that you're not talking to yourself. So it's kind of like, if you think about everything involved in government systems and the way that they're structured, all of them lead you to give your attention and energy to things outside of yourself. So instead of investing into the things in your life that's not actually working and consistent with what you're trying to build, they got your mind on global warming, things outside your control. You can't control what the sun do. So why the fuck is you worried about it? Oh, well, we can clean up the environment. And it's like, again, I'm not talking shit about cleaning up the environment, but what I'm saying is the way they got you worried and stressed about it, you do realize those are time, seconds, minutes, all that energy you could have been spending something that actually could help you. You know what I'm saying? Your own spirit's development. Why is your mind on homelessness and not government itself mind on homelessness? Why do you care more about whether you got, why are individual citizens even like pushing where they gotta contemplate whether or not they give money to a bum? That should be the government's job. That should be whatever government that's, they should already be on shit like that. Again, food drives and shit like that. That should not be volunteer work for this. It should be already government sanctioned duties and obligations to take care of its people. But that's not what you actually see. What you see is they create situations for now you, and on your mind you driving thinking about all the bums and homelessness. You done made your whole life purpose about curing homelessness and shit like that, or hunger and shit, and that was not your mission. You know what I'm saying? That's not your mission. You've invested time, energy, and all these different things. And again, staying a mission or a purpose and saying, oh, I want to help people. Everybody innately wants to help people. Why everybody except the government seem like they put themselves in a position to do that? It'd be way easier. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be this difficult. You know what I'm saying? You got to go through so many loops like that just to do something positive. You try to do something positive in your community, you got to go through so many loopholes. All the way down to people in your life who still lost in this shit to say, well, you should just run for governor. You should run for mayor and be a local, you know, politician and shit like that. Not understanding, bitch, the system, the way it's designed is that way to keep you thinking, oh yeah, you just keep and put your head down. You'll get there. You'll get there. You know what I'm saying? Just you don't keep on grinding. Your whole time, again, time, seconds, minutes, whole life, energy wasted on something that never actually changed. You know what I'm saying? Grandma's grandma. All these people been voting their whole life and nothing has changed except for the game and the stresses. So bringing all that back, the theme of investing attention into thought. So that's kind of where that's where the power lies right now. How much attention is you really going to give to that thought? So the moon and Gemini already bringing a bunch of thoughts, and a lot of these are bred out of frustration, maybe even feelings of anxiety, desperation for some, you know, because, and again, like, I'm not talking negatively about Virgo energy. I'm saying Virgo just makes you aware of how things are functioning, and we in a tough time right now. So chances are things ain't functioning to the maximum capacity. So there's going to be exercise in your own personal life. And that's where a lot of these thoughts are going to stem from, which are some of them are going to be helpful things that you do need to address and adjust. But a lot of these are going to be distractions and things that keep you in emotional states that lead you to not be motivated to make change. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the tough part. It's like we still have to remember that we have to give ourselves enough emotional satisfaction and energy to continue to do the things we need to do, because this is how people get discouraged, and before you know it, you're depressed. Now sometimes we go through certain moods like that, but again, the strength of your spirit, the ability to maintain equilibrium, know that even when things are all falling apart, they're falling into place. Things fall apart to realign. So you got to remember, like, okay, that's what's actually happening. You know what I'm saying? Even if it seemed like everything in your life that was once stable, seemed like it had potential to be stable, is all of a sudden breaking down and not working the way you think it should be. Keep in mind, that's just the way you think it should be. But the reality of it, it's not working. Something needs to change and be adjusted. Mercury is trining Uranus. So again, don't be, you know, if you try to run from what is worrying you, a very unexpected change will happen regardless, based upon you not taking care of that responsibility. But vice versa, you proper attention and addressing the things that's not working in your life. And even if it takes some contemplation and some needing to realign and readjust how you even thinking about it, an internal thing, just doing that alone will give you the energy to innovate and to go about it that actually can work. You know what I'm saying? That's you playing out your energy as the genius, as the eureka moment, the breakthrough. Like, oh shit, I kept trying to adjust in how I'm thinking about. That's actually the angle I should take. You know what I'm saying? Because right now it's a lot of do or die energy. It's like people are gonna start to come to conclusions on, okay, it's either I'm all in on this or I'm not at all. And I feel like that's a lot of what that new moon, kind of full moon energy, really like the full moon energy, because I don't know if it's going to be a full moon in Aquarius or if it's going to be a full moon, or if it's going to, I think it's going to just be a full moon in Aquarius, because we pretty early in Yeah, I think I gotta look at the specific thing, the specific alignment, because I know we had a double Capricorn moon, so it probably is gonna be Aquarius. But the whole thing is like it's gonna pass through Pluto. It's gonna be a full moon passing through Pluto, which is purification. You know, and that's what we're going through right now. It's a purification process. Like things need to be purified. We're just now kind of getting a whiff of what is and what's not on that list to get either, you know, again, everything as far as that goes is purification. So on one end, it's like it's either going to purify in a way where little dog's out trying to get the message. It's either going to purify in a way where it's taken out away from you, or it's going to be something you lean into and it becomes something again you align with. Things fell apart to realign. You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, everything broke down, but now I got more awareness on how I need to structure my mind in order to actually get to my goal. So you either gonna give up or you know what I'm saying? And that's really the name of the game at the moment. If you're not willing to go through that process, if you're still afraid of it, again, it's going to bring an unexpected change where things are going to be purified anyway. But the way is going to be in way on where now you have to play the catch-up role. And see, one thing we aware of is that, you know, when because we've been talking about Neptune, right, going into Aries. It's on that 0 degree, but it's retrograde. So we got some time before this actually happens. But Aries gets into when both Neptune gets into Aries, Saturn will also be in Aries. And in and of itself, that's something where it's reality at that point cannot be escaped. So think about it like this: having situated for yourself by the time that conjunction happens, where because you got to think about it, Saturn reality is conjuncting Neptune. And it's already been doing that, but it's been doing that in Pisces. So there's still room for the creation of what that could look like. You know what I'm saying? There's still room for the imagination of what that could be. But when these things align in Aries, Saturn falls in Aries. So it starts to become a thing where, again, reality becomes so immediate that there is no escape from, there is no dreamland imagination escape. It's only going to be presented as things you got to fight through or you got to fight with. So it's like, if you don't set yourself up right now, there's different things that's gonna come to a realization at that time. It's gonna be different kind of things that you're gonna have to face the reality of, and it won't be as fluid of a space that you can still kind of put on and create something new that ain't been done before, or something that you can use as a springboard again to get to a new reality, even if the reality is not looking like something to believe in. You know what I'm saying? Right now, the little faith we have, and see, faith right now is kind of, it's being extremely tested. Faith in general, our faith in whatever we doing, it kind of has to be level. We have to now start to take more responsibility over the execution of these plans. You know, we was talking a good game leading up to this point, but you really gonna see who was just talking and who was actually able to keep up. You know, again, mental strength, showing that mental strength and the capacity to expand in the ways you need to expand. And right now, it's just that it's an emphasis on that expansion because it's in Gemini. So the moon passing through here, we're aware of that. We're getting many that's, again, forcing us to expand whether we want to or not. This could also, again, be the planting bad seeds energy would look like you saying, oh, it's too scattered, and you choosing to just go with the thoughts that make, aka escapism. You're escaping the maturity of what you need to step up and become and do, you know what I'm saying? And be careful with become, because even with that, it's like our spirit is no thing. So being something and becoming something, sometimes that goes too far and we get too convinced that it's some kind of, again, like I said, character. And that's kind of the one of the things about Leo season that makes it so dramatic is when you're a character, you really think you are that thing. Your spirit is no thing though. So if you too into whatever character you think you into, and that character is no longer sufficient for what you're going through, or no longer relevant to who you really are, you've trapped yourself into something. You've become stubborn into a way of seeing things, a worldview even, you know what I'm saying? And that can become extreme. That can become something that sets you back based upon you not having the flexibility of awareness to jump in new spaces when it's time, aka riding the wave and flowing with life itself. You have to flow with life in order for life to flow with you. The second you become a brick in that water, you create so much, you can create resistance and build up. And we know when something, when the flow of water is slowed down and built up, what's it create? You know, it's the difference between a clean river and a swamp. You know what I'm saying? A swamp with all kinds of murky shit in the water because it's still. It's too still. There's no movement. And that's what happens. That's the in conjunction even between Pisces and Leo. It's like if you don't continue to keep that water flowing, if you're too fixated into how you see and feel, then your pond becomes isolated and you become stubborn because again that ego and whatever character becomes something you want to cling on so tightly. Without letting go of that, you won't be able to flow. Without letting go of that, you won't be able to kind of see other ways of moving and operating. So you know, that's one of the things right now. So that's kind of what Mercury is bringing. But see, at the same time, like Mercury, I mean, I said Mercury, the moon in Gemini. But with the moon in Gemini, though, you know, really this is a time where, again, you can go in, but you could also, it's like everybody got to kind of lighten themselves up emotionally in order to think clearly about what it is they actually feel, and that'll help them communicate the right things to get the right information to continue on, whether that's information to get to instill more faith in yourself, right, or more belief into whatever it is still doing. You know, because again, it's like a good conversation with yourself if you're really talking to God, right? Because see, and that goes back to homeboy's thing with the Jewish witchcraft of them convincing you're not talking to yourself. So you're kind of always looking and searching for some form of external validation from a higher power, quote unquote, to give you the go. But again, really that just leads you to following demons. But when you're really talking to yourself, it's like you cut away a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? When you realize you're talking to yourself, then it becomes more about you and what you need to do in order to, again, move, operate in the world. It's forms of being what you want to see, which is forms of, you know, what they say, treating others how you want to be treated. It's like it's more of a better development rather than the mentality of I'm always talking to someone outside of me. So now I expect others to respond to things that I see and shit like that. And so when I don't feel good, I put it on a responsibility on others to make me feel good. Again, that's kind of how that Jewish witchcraft kind of work. It's like that point in outward energy. It's like not really going internally. But you know, when we talk about this energy in particular, the moon in Gemini, and you know, thinking what we need to communicate, what's on our mind, not lost up into that. Again, lighten yourself up to be able to come to clearer conclusions or clearer thoughts on what should be communicated versus what's something you might need to break down and deal with your own internal system. You know what I'm saying? And then even with Virgo, criticizing these things, sizing them up. But again, are you sizing it up for what it really is, or are you sizing it up based upon your insecurity? Are you sizing up based upon what you don't necessarily want to do, or what you're afraid to do, or what is bringing you anxiety that you know you need to do but been procrastinating on? So it's like because see, being in that space and overthinking about that by default makes you heavy. That makes your feelings heavy. And that also locks you into a certain perspective to where you become cynical. You become, you know, a doubter. You don't believe in anything. You don't trust anything. You don't have faith or anything in anything. You know what I'm saying? Because you're too rooted in seeing what's all going wrong or what you're not addressing. You know, you need to, but been procrastinating on. You're too worried. You're too stressed about stuff that ain't even happened, but you just feel like it will happen based upon your fear. You know what I'm saying? You just in that world. And that's what could happen with Mercury, you know, until we learn how to lighten some of that up. And not every thought got to be so detrimental. Not every thought got to be so, you know, intense. And again, this is just moon on Gemini. Right now, it's a majority of earth and air in the sky. So it's like all types of emotions and stuff like that right now we don't really know what to feel, but we just thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody really know what they feeling or what they seeing or how to feel about what they seeing or experiencing, but they thinking about it, you know, and it's on their mind. So it's a lot of confusion. It's a lot of like miscommunication just by there being so much communication or not communication being had. You know, because like Virgo, like I was saying before, that's where Mercury at. It's still an internal sign, you know. So it could be just thinking to yourself, talking to yourself, and you know, y'all know how far that can go. I think in the last live I said Venus was in Virgo. Not yet. It's on its way. But even Venus in Leo, again, everything is the way we go about love, appreciating, and valuing is very self-centered. It's we want it how we want it. You know what I'm saying? That's that Leo stuff. It's like you want to see it how you want to see it. You want to be seen in that love and reciprocation or support how you want to be seen. So, you know, it makes love a lot more self-centered right now, or appreciation, or any form of support. Like I was saying before, everybody's expressing themselves, right? But a lot of people might be in a space where they more so expect, it's like everybody in their own world still. So even though it's a lot of expression, a lot of stuff might not be a lot of things might not be seen or noticed based upon everybody kind of being their own world with it. You know what I'm saying? Their own world and own sense of uh, what they appreciate. And you can even pass up on things where people are doing things for you, but because you're in your own world, you don't even appreciate it for what it is, because you still want things the way you want it. So be careful of that. And then as it goes into Virgo, you'll kind of see like, oh, that was what's going on. You know, I'm really not getting support here. I'm really not, you know, damn, you know, I said I should have changed how I was expressing myself or expressing love back then. Now, this Venus energy is sextiling the moon in Gemini too. So there's opportunities to communicate and better understand how we express love, and also communicate how we want to be loved as well. So be open for those conversations, or support, you know, how you want to be supported, being able to communicate and articulate that. That's very helpful. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe even making you more willing to speak up on stuff that you love and appreciate. That's kind of the positive side of it. But the negative side, again, still overthinking about how love is either not being received the way you want to see it, or, you know, so on and so forth. Energies like that. Now, the moon is also sextiling, the moon in Gemini sextiling Chiron. So opportunities for you to have a lot of thoughts about mistakes. So you can either heal with that, or again, you become so overcome with either frustration or forms of you know, there's a lot of things that can kind of come from that, because it's like forms of frustration. And the moon is conjunct Mars too. So even in that, you start to get too frustrated about that, you know, and that could force you to want to separate from certain, you know, overthinking about past mistakes. You might be mad at yourself, you know, and that's really what it is. You mad at yourself, but it could look like you starting to take that anger and pointing it to other people externally. And that just create more turmoil and mixed up energy in your actual life, because, you know, it really do be starting with you. Even if it come down to you just, you know in your heart you allow certain stuff to be one way, and you being frustrated about how it is, it's like that's just you understanding that. And again, that goes back to even the square that a lot of this Gemini, Mars, and Jupiter energy is having with Saturn and Pisces. Because again, boundary time, you realize that, oh, that was not real, and I can't do that. Boundary. And then the times we in specifically, they require us to express that. Even if we don't necessarily want to show it, it's still on stage. It might not be hit with the main spotlight, but it's still on the stage. So it's like something is either addressed or understood as a prop background. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it don't be the sometimes, even though you see something on stage, you ever been to them shows where they don't really have a back curtain? So something might be on stage that's going to get used later on, but hey, focus on where the spotlight is. The word was back there. But everybody gonna be kind of looking. Thing is, you can't be too concerned. You gotta, like, you know, it's a weird time. You know, it's a weird time. But the name of the game right now is just not getting too enticed by or distracted by all the different thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Still have the curiosity to continue with what it is that you are trying to get to the root of, because that's the thing. It's like, it's still things that it's whatever you're experiencing. And that's the thing, feeling more connected to your experience. So if you get into that and you use curiosity and do what the moon needs you to do, which is lighten that load up, lighten the emotional reaction to it. And that's another thing too. We get so emotionally attached. Right now, we're extremely emotionally attached to stability and what we want to build and what we want, our reality that we in. So, you know, it's like, damn, you know, shout out to Makobi. Good morning to you. But it's like everybody, it's like Saturn and Pisces. Everybody's very emotionally attached to that, what we structured and what we want to be real. But we again, that square with Gemini, like I was saying, Gemini is like, it needs to be willing to, it has to be light enough to be okay with new information. You know, sometimes, you know, you don't ask because you don't want to know, but Gemini's like, well, why not ask? Because like, what you know, say, what's the worst that could happen? You just know more information. And Gemini looks at that as, hey, the more information I got, the more I can move, the more I can, you know, the more flexibility I have. So, you know, that's a difference in ideology from Pisces, which is the more so, again, what I'm feeling, reality is already shifting. So if I can create a dream or imagination, I'd rather stay there, even if that's got to change, because I know it's going to change. But it's like, you know what I'm saying, it's still like kind of like again, optimism, Jupiter, a protection bubble. You know, that illusion a lot of times be your protection bubble, and you be too comfortable in that and don't want to let go of that, because then you know, you're gonna have to swim around and develop a new comfort or a new dream to you know. And even of itself, it's like, it's a dream to keep that going. You know, like I was explaining with the Jupiter energy, like, you know, even though that's the Sagittarius sign, you know, even with the Pisces sign, like the Pisces, it's almost like when Pisces energy is just kind of drifting off, they have to, like, you wonder why you always in la la land. It's like, you don't realize, like, it is the dream that's keeping actually connected to reality a lot of times. If they didn't have that imagination to create something, that you wouldn't see a Pisces outside, because they fucking be in their own space and destroy themselves, in the sense of, they don't have nothing to believe in. They don't have no meaning and reason into why it's even important, because again, Pisces be seeing through this realm. It's like all this shit is pointless, for real, as far as this chase, this ego development, and using it as a golem to go and collect and conquer and influence all this other bullshit. It's like all that shit is redundant. You know, the real things that matter are always kind of swept under the rug here. You know, everything is in reverse. So the things that actually matter, time invested into what you enjoy, spent with the people you want to be with, connection and you know, the development of that, that's the type of shit that you don't see enough in this world. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, well, yeah, you got to create that, but again, that becomes exhausting. But my point in all that is to say, like, you know, when it comes to these different energies and the way they see things, both the Gemini and the Pisces energy, and just kind of refer to where Saturn is at reality, and where you know, we got the moon, Mars, and Jupiter. So, you know, the meanings and reason is now, it's like, it's almost like we reassessing that whole process, and then Virgo steps in and completely addresses everything that is consistent with the new thoughts that we getting about what we seeing. Like, damn, all this shit, oh, wait, hold on, I didn't notice that, and it's like, boom, you know what I'm saying, the what you call it, the you know, the Mercury, you really just got it on your mind. And you got to remember, Mercury is supposed to be your foot soldier. So, you know, you can use this energy and destroy yourself real easily, based, again, so many of these thoughts, and allowing them to bring you down, allowing the self-criticism and self-doubt to basically overthrow your initial intent and what you believed in at one point in time to be real. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the thing about, you know, dreams and all these types of things. It's like, if you really think about it, right, it's like how they tell you, you know what I'm saying, nothing is really, like, when you trying to bring something new into the world, people gonna doubt it, people not gonna understand it, people not gonna, you know. And the thing of, even down you as an individual spirit, like, everybody be so different. It's like, sometimes it's hard to not see the world as separate, or be, you know, it's like feeling misunderstood from everything. So it's like, when you think about the times we in right now, it's like it's even them, even the way the government's moving and stuff like that, even they use that to their advantage because they already know, you know, a lot of what was going on with 2020 and stuff like that, the separation it created from so many people, and the only thing people did connect through being online, but online itself being a facade, so and easily manipulated. Because if you think about it, it's like if people are linking up in real life, that's a threat because it's like, okay, y'all actually can bring together manpower and build something. But if a bunch of people are connected online, you know how easy it is to put a mole here, put a troll there, you know what I'm saying? Before you know it, there's somebody in the circle who already know everything that's going on, who's able to, again, report back or create havoc within that community or whatever it is of individuals connected online versus in person. Now, the same thing has been happening though. You know, like a lot of these groups and things that formulated with people, the same thing was happening, infiltration and people kind of going in there and again, going back to the government, telling them what's going on and being sent specifically to create havoc and call, you know, these types of things been going on and on for eons and shit like that. So, you know, but it kind of just, you know, and that's what kind of makes these times real confusing because nobody really know what to do. You know, everybody's just trying different things. You know, even when we say stuff like community and stuff like the reality of it, it is a lot of work that goes into even establishing something that could work in that way. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what I mean from, you know, when it comes to this energy in particular, Saturn being opposite that Mercury, we're being presented with the issues. But again, if you work long enough, you come up with solutions. And so that's kind of the thing for everybody's life at the moment. It's like we all getting hit with many different issues that's cropping up. But hey, if we work with it, go through that frustration and from it, eventually you do get a solution. You know, some people stop their solutions just not doing it. And that's one way to go about it. If you just realize that's not for you and you stop, you know. But again, if you know this is what in your supposed to be doing and you're trying to work, you know, work with it, if you keep messing with it for long enough, you'll come to certain conclusions on where the next step lies. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, again, teamwork making the dream work. So along the way, be willing to still connect. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the thing right now. Everybody, see, this being year 8, it's like a lot of time, it's a lot of investment, it's a lot of trust that's necessary. You know what I'm saying? And trust developing type energies. Like people don't realize trust is stuff you have to develop. You have to give people things in order for to step up to the opportunity. You know, if you're not offering opportunities to build trust, then you are essentially not building it. It's kind of deteriorating in itself. You know what I'm saying? Because if you walk around with the perspective that you can't trust anybody, well, guess what? You're just gonna build strength around not doing that. You know what I'm saying? When deep down inside, everybody wants to be able to like, again, teamwork makes the dream work. We in this world to relate. So not having things you can trust is not actually helping nobody mental health. Doing things alone is what actually builds trauma. Anytime you build trauma around something is because you had to do it by yourself and there was nothing you could depend on, trust, or go to in order to bring that. That's where majority of the spiritual community even comes from. Because that's the thing that each spirit can relate on, is that here we all was alone. You know, even before this body I'm talking about, we was all alone. When we go to sleep, we alone. We came in here alone. But we, at the same time, there's spirits that way. It's just the way the system and society is built and structured. It created a lot of these, again, different angles that you realize, like, again, it's the reason why you can look at a group of people and categorize them all based upon the dis they have. See, that's what the system and structure of society did. It put people in boxes to where people develop personalities now over a desire. You know, everybody who wants this type of lifestyle. That's why on Twitter it's like it seemed like little sections of people, and all these people literally have the same exact thoughts. Whether it's the getting money people, you know, who see the world just like that. You could already lump it. You could look at the tweet and already put it in a bucket. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you talk about individuals, real true individuals and shit like that, you know, You don't, the majority of the world just kind of goes along on the sheep mind shit, on the group thinking, you know what I'm saying, on the collective thinking, the collective agreement on whatever it is, versus a world where, again, every spirit was being themselves. There's no, there wouldn't be no real competing for space because everyone would be in a space. It wouldn't be no need to, you know what I'm saying? It would be, I don't want to go too far into that, but if y'all, hopefully y'all understand where I'm getting at, because it's like, if you think about it for real, that's the thing. Everybody can relate on just doing things alone. So everybody at the same time desires to do things with others. Everybody got a seventh house, but still that individuality is necessary. But it's a bringing that to the community. It's about bringing that shit to the group, not isolation versus complete, dissimilar, you know what I'm saying, just whatever they call it, dissolving into everybody, you know what I'm saying, where now you are not yourself anymore either. You're just going along with what the group is. You know what I'm saying? It's about bringing that individuality to it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's kind of seems like we've been going through a time where it's like, damn, we got to be extremely alone, but then we also got to start to connect and associate with individuals who are like-minded and shit like that. So, all that stuff, all these different things play a part, and right now so we have to kind of keep that in mind right now. But with this, with this energy, the best thing we can do is really, again, get, at least just always be checking with yourself to say, well, is this truly how I see and feel about this? And whatever it is that and if it is, be willing to express it. Again, it's how you do it. So you don't have to be super aggressive with it, negative with it, but just as long as it gets expressed, and be willing to be challenged and be willing to go through the conversation and the frustration to think of something else that could work better. You know what I'm saying? Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what this Virgo energy is all about. Does it work? How can it be improved? You know what I'm saying? Or does it not work? And what can we, again, still adjust? What can we adjust and what can we change and swap out? That's what the Virgo energy is good for. And that Mercury, again, in retrograde, that's going to kind of bring, that's what's going to be buzzing at the moment. It's going to be like, oh, okay, and I think it's going to touch Leo again. So even when it does that, again, attention, you know what I'm saying? Your mind, what is your mind on at the moment? So everybody's going through that, a cleanse when it comes to their mental form. But right now we're going through the initial frustration and friction of it. So right now everybody's mind is being shooken up, and that's going to be the test for right now. It's like, how can we go into our mind, reorganize it in a way that can actually work, without getting too bogged down by negative or distraction thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Goes back to the theme of the life. It's like investing attention into thought. So if you want a good return on investment, you better be creating better thoughts, worth, valuable thoughts. If you want, again, if you keep getting back a shitty return on investment, you might not have been investing attention into the right thoughts. Instead, you was paying attention to stuff that wasn't paying you. It wasn't paying you back. So, you owe now, and it's interest, because again, things is moving faster than they was, and I'm already hearing different talks. He said, you are what you think, having become what you thought. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's like, the thing about it is, like, thoughts are not you though, but it's what you chose to continue to invest in. Because that's the whole thing. It's like, we get hit with millions of thoughts, and a lot of times these thoughts ain't even come from us, but we will take a thought and just, like, because we, again, how you feel about yourself and what you've been through, your trauma, these things attract you to it entice you to want to connect to a thought that you really ain't got no business connecting to. All of a sudden you took that, and what people do is they take that one thought and they embody that. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's what I mean by, like, people don't be themselves. They be their fears and their anxieties and things like that. They took something else that was just in the space and identified with it. You know what I'm saying? But if you know how to develop thought, even that, you know what I'm saying? Because even good thoughts can go too far, where a person becomes naive, you know, because they just went along with the good thoughts in their life and they embodied that. And it's like, yeah, that might feel good, but even that goes too far and becomes something where now you're just addicted to, you know, let's think better. And that you can't even address some things that could potentially go wrong. It's like, it really is a matter of that equilibrium to say, even, you know, with thoughts in general, like all these thoughts around me are not, but there's a couple that I can maybe agree with, or I just, and from those I agree with, and the ones that, even the ones a little bit that I disagree with, you can still formulate and create a better way of thinking about your situation. Cause it's like, you know, yeah. You know, and I guess in that sense, you do become, it's like you become what you choose, really. But even like with thoughts and stuff like that, it still come down to actions, because it's really those thoughts are motivating you to act in certain ways. So it's like, it's tough right now, you know. But you got a lot of people sizing each other up and trying to, you know, and you got to be careful of that energy. It really is a time where we have to invest in self in order to be able to operate externally properly. Because the time you're not spending kind of organizing your own internal, whether it be thoughts and feelings, your mentalities in general, that's going to lead to you, again, kind of repeating cycles at the moment, expressing yourself in ways that's going to cause like an extreme, like it's going to kind of be like, um, it's going to blow it up, you know what I'm saying? Because Mars is next to Jupiter. So it's like, it's going to blow it up. Like it's going to make something, it's going to make it more that you got to deal with as far as an experience. It's going to take you to that experience. Like Mars conjunct Jupiter is like experiencing anger for real, or experiencing passion. You know what I'm saying? Again, if you put that energy towards things you actually passionate about and things that you can be, again, transmute with, you know, again, right now is a very powerful time for all forms of creativity, because it's like, it's giving you the ability to passionate about and expand on it. Now that could look practical, but it's because it's in Gemini, so that could be practical. That could be like you adding new things to new dimensions, like I said, because I kind of like the idea of looking at Gemini and kind of all air signs as, you know, dimensions. Like they add to it, like different ways to think about something. You adding dimensions to it. So like with Gemini, it's like with our passions, we can add dimensions. We can add new attachments to understand, oh, I see how everything this person is doing. This is linked to this and this is linked to that. I see it, you know, and that little square, we can learn how to make that organized. Or you know, that's kind of how I like it. And so we could do that with our passions at the moment. But it could also be like I said before, creating experience. You know, it can also look like experiencing your passions. So whatever it is that you are passionate about, like that's why I'm like, this transit is powerful in the sense that there's a lot of things we could be doing with our time and energy, but it's just about what you choose to invest in it. Because even in the example I'm giving now, like expanding on your passion to the point you actually are experiencing it, you jump into it and now you can do what you need to do in it. But again, that could easily be replaced with anger, frustration, if what you are passionate about is not easily accessible and you haven't developed a proper way to, you know, incorporate it in your life. Like I said, you had a day job and shit. There's, you know, you could be stuck in the stage of just being frustrated that this job is in the way of what you're passionate about. And then there's people who learn to still get the time they need spent with that passion, even if they do got a job. So these are people like, well, you know, I got work in the morning. I'll wake up extra early just to make a couple beats before I go in. Or I'll make sure that as soon as I get off, I make some space to go and you know, practice my acting or something, or practice my writing. I make sure in between on my break time I write a little bit of a script, and then I save that, and at the end of it, I go home and I type it up, you know, before I go to bed. You know, say people who make time for their passions and stuff like that. Like, you know, you could choose to just get frustrated and give up. You could make it real. And that's kind of like what I've been saying too the whole time. Like, you gotta, right now, you could either let all this anxiety overcome you and you just choose to completely let go, or you could use this shit to say, okay, yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but shit, I just know if I can, I can start to manage it. You know what I'm saying? You just got to be strong enough for when your heart break, aka when something happens that again causes you to have to completely backtrack, or causes you to have to completely destroy or restructure how you once saw something and its ability to get done. You know, and the thing about this opposition, both Mercury and Saturn are in retrograde, so both of these things are pulling stuff from your past and forcing you to kind of reassess old ways of going about structuring reality, dreams, passions, and what you was trying to do. All of these things are being, you know, again, presented to you to fall apart, to realign. And it's just you picking up the pieces. You know, retrograde times is powerful times for just getting it right. You know what I'm saying? And really it's like a slow down time when everything goes back direct. If you did the work, what seemed like it was slowing you down really was like it was like a catapult. It was leaning you back, or a slingshot. It was pulling you back. So you now move forward 10 times faster. You know what I'm saying? Because you went through the drain and the tension. And that's also another good analogy for understanding tension in our life, and how pressure and tension and going through conflict and stuff like that allows you to basically draw that momentum, so that when it is time to go, you ready to go. People who avoid that shit, they never have no real, they never really have no what is it like, you know, whatever it is that a slingshot does. I guess they ain't got no real, you know what I'm saying, forward motion, simply because they avoid conflict, they avoid the hard shit, they avoid the work. And again, it'd be mental work, it'd be shit just dealing with how it is at the moment, and still choosing a way to go about it that is true to you. Because again, like, let's say you could be going through anything. It'll be like, hey, when you looking at reality, it might make a lot of sense to just say fuck it and do what everybody either been telling you to do, or the easy thing to do. Whether that be, let me just settle for whatever I got, or settle for this, settle for that. That could be the choice. But then in your heart though, you know, but this is actually what I'm trying to do. So whether that, again, it don't even have nothing to do with right or wrong. But if in your heart you trying to do something, then you know, that's your decision. Do I go with the easy thing that could be bring me happiness for a temporary time? And again, that's not even like something you could really say, like whether it's going to be temporary or not. But it's like, do I go with the easy thing that I don't really want to do, but I'll just do anyway? Or do I do the thing that's in my heart? And if you do the thing that's in your heart, again, it's going to, tension and shit like that, it comes. But where it takes you, be exactly where you want to be, for good or bad. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter if it's, you know, there's no right answer to it. The answer is just what you've chosen. And it's your job as a spirit to make that the right answer. Because it's like life ain't about making, so I don't even think life is so much about trying to make the right decisions. It's just making the decisions you make right. You know what I'm saying? Now, there is some wrong decisions, like don't smoke crack and shit like that. Like, if you make a kind of decision like that, you know what I'm saying? There's certain decisions that is like, come on now, that ain't right. But even in that, like, that's just a joke. But it's like the truth about it is, it's like you gotta make a decision, and it's not about trying to sit around and wait and overanalyze if that decision is right or wrong. It's about just, you know, you just got to choose for yourself, and what you choose, you as a spirit got to trust that you can make that the right decision. That's a lot of times where people get stuck. Nobody really want to trust themselves that what they are choosing is right. They keep questioning and keep going back and saying, well, but that other thing I was thinking about, what about that other thing? And it's like, if you really wanted the other thing, you should have chose the other thing. And again, everybody, like, times change is inevitable. Even if you do change your mind out of new information you get, that's still, you know what I'm saying, that's still a element to this. You know what I'm saying? As you going through experiences, you gonna learn new things, you're gonna come into new information. That shit is supposed to be used for you to continue to develop the type of life you building for yourself. So people change their mind, you know what I'm saying? And again, those still be conflict moments, those still be moments of tension and shit like that, you know, being real with that shit, you know. But it's all about what you choose. Because even if, you know, you question certain things, but you still choose it, you still chose it. It's like, You either gonna create that to be the right decision for you, or you gonna go your whole life either building resentment or uh kind of beating yourself up. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people got to realize that too. Some things they chose, and it's like you can beat yourself up, but there is nobody, nothing coming to save you from that. So that's just your own trauma, psychosis, mental illness that you've perpetuated in your own life. So, you know, even with certain decisions you make that you kind of look back on and say, yeah, that wasn't the best, you still chose it, and whatever those consequences were, some level you gotta you gotta accept that shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's not fun all the time. But again, that's what it really means when they say time heals. Because it's like, as time goes on, though, you adapt and you change. You know what I'm saying? You understand that that's what happened, and from that understanding, you either develop mentalities that will contribute to that healing. That say, you know, oh, I see why that happened. Yeah, that happened for a reason, and boom, boom. Or that still becomes something you continue to ruminate on, and it could destroy you just the same. It could take you right back into the loop of repeating those cycles out of, again, that built up resentment. So you repeat the thing that was a bad decision, and how you repeat it is you don't repeat the actual choice, but you repeat experiences that make you feel similar to what that was. So that's how, again, you won't experience the same exact thing. Like, you might have made a choice. um what's an example I could give, man? I'll give an example. I'd be like, you might have made a choice to eat, you know, nah, I ain't gonna, that's just dumb. But you know what I'm saying? My point of it is like, this is what it really means when people say, you know, the bed you lay, making the bed you lay in, or, you know, what's the other saying? Like, oh, you, yeah, these like, that's the bed you made, you know what I'm saying? And you got your shit. Cause it's like, you did it. And, you know, you can still make that bed as comfortable as it can be, but even that, it's a level of, you know, humility that you got to go through, a level of you know, kind of just sitting with yourself. And I don't want to say I say it's like a level of modesty, you know what I'm saying? But at first, you know, and it gets so deep because people experience these different things in forms of, like, if you want to say shame and guilt, you know what I'm saying? When shame and guilt is introduced, and it shapes kind of how you seeing yourself, type stuff, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't know how to manage these things, especially people who grew up, because a lot of people, and that's a whole nother factor to it too, people grew up in situations where, you know, they wasn't guided on better ways to deal with certain things. So people grew up seeing themselves a certain way based upon who they was around, and not whether they was praised on things or not praised on things. It's like that's what became who they are, you know. But you know, it's kind of a big tangent, but you know, that's some like just real life stuff, you know what I'm saying? We just gotta be, right now we're going through a lot of tension for the better though. You know, you just gotta lean into it and understand, like, okay, like, I'm being expanded in these ways. You know, Jupiter Mercury, you know, even that, you know what I'm saying, learning how to think about experiences and thinking about them critically, you know what I'm saying, thinking critically about experiences, learning how to think critically, and learning how to deal with critical thinking, you know what I'm saying, or, you know, criticizing yourself and trying to make more, you know, again, make more wise decisions and wise choices, you know. But for the most part, I think that's really all of it. You know, it's just a lot of things going on in the air, a lot of communication, and you have to really think about, you know, consider yourself in your own mental state. Don't get too distracted by all the different things that's coming up. You know, if there's things that's creating tension in your life, address those things accordingly. Take responsibility for what you got to step up in, and you know, allow that to kind of, again, continue to lighten your load, and allow that to guide you through whatever it is that you're kind of going through at the moment, you know. And remember, it's about expressing what you can, you know, expressing yourself through and through, you know. Express yourself, let it be known, let it be seen, but also keep that space within yourself to kind of see who you are and how you're presenting yourself, and, like, you know, start to break down what's these little processes I'm going through. You know, where's my mentality encouraging me to express this kind of character? Is this the actual character that aligns with who I am? And if it's not, where does the adjustment need to happen? Where do I need to change this? Where do I need to fix that so it can work better, work more properly, you know? But yeah, anyway, y'all have a beautiful day. Much love, and I will catch you on the next one.